Morning all, how are we doing? Welcome to another Friday, end of the week at last. Short one this week, it's very good. We like short weeks. Just taking a pound short this morning, pound US dollar. We had the news this morning. Where are we? Friday. Retail sales down dramatically. Big drop on the retail sales. So I had a little speculative short on off of this reversal alert. Where's my pen gone again? There we go. I had a pending order sitting under that low. And obviously the news was there. No, the news was there, sorry, on that hammer. So I got triggered on the hammer basically, and it's tanking very nicely. So I'm just going to hold that for a bit. I'm not quite sure where this pound US dollar is going. We have just broken out of new lows. So potentially this is just doing a little liquidity run here. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. It's a big enough H1 candle that I could probably break even this now and be fairly safe on it. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to reduce risk down above the support rectangle, so that only gives me 20 pips risk on it, and then just see where this goes. It's obviously pound is weak at the minute. We should anticipate a little bit more US dollar strength coming through. I'm just trying to find some support. So down here really is where we're heading, isn't it? So somewhere around that support resistance area there potentially is first stop. So I'll see what happens when we get down to there. Actually, I might just stick a TP down there. What's that? 350. So that's 100 and basically 200 ADR. We're not going to do 200 ADR today, I wouldn't imagine, but anyway. So yeah, got that little short on. Euro Swiss short, still gone nowhere. That's that third position I took yesterday. We haven't gone anywhere. So still there. Still waiting for the euro to drop. But this morning it's all going to kick off. Morning Zovnia even. Peter. So this morning we've got loads of Euro news. We've got big news day today. Well, big-ish news day. Bigger news day than we've had all week. Morning, Stevie. 8:15, we've got services PMI. Market opens in 4 minutes. We've got services PMI, first of all, for Euro. French services PMI. Then the big one, which is the German. German, obviously the biggest economy. So they take the services and manufacturing PMIs for that, really, for the Euro red news. After that, 9:30, we've got the pound. Hopefully that all comes out crap as well, and that dumps it even further. We got retail sales for the Canadian dollar later, so if you've got any CADs on, worth having a look at those. Then we got Lagarde speaking, and then we've got the US PMIs, and then finally Bailey at 3:30. So quite a lot of news this afternoon to be aware of. ADRs so far this morning, yen's been a big mover. Aussie dollar yen's come down, hit ADR. We've got the pound yen, which has now hit as well. And the New Zealand dollar yen. So there's a fair amount of movement on the Aussie and the New Zealand. The other yen pairs, not quite so much. So it's mainly Aussie and New Zealand weakness that we had. But the yen did have a little bit of a strength during the Asian session. Nothing particularly exciting. But yeah, still some movement there. The other ones we've had hit are the euro pound. Obviously that's just hit off the back of the pound news. And euro odd hit off the back of the Australian dollar weakness. So a few ADRs hit today. That euro odd, nice looking short opportunity. Looking for shorts on the euro, and that's obviously pushed up. So good little short opportunity potentially there. I've got a fib drawn on there. Oops, wrong one as usual. It's a 4-hour fib, and so that's just broken above that 71 level. pushing up a bit higher than expected, but we are still putting in potentially new low. So I don't want to invalidate that level there really for a continuation down. So we'll have a look through all the FX pairs in a little bit. We'll just get ready for the open. So the DAX yesterday, we played it long. Really good day yesterday on the DAX. Played it long all the way up yesterday. All the way up there. Straight into the resistance area that I identified in the morning. Put in a nice reversal alert with a retest and dumped. Completely dumped. Which is exactly what I wanted it to do. That's what I wanted the Nasdaq to do actually. So we had a lovely hammer put in at the 72. They basically came in, kissed the 72, and then put in a hammer. So today, looking for downside on the DAX. Nasdaq, we had a lovely down day again. Big drop on that. I didn't catch most of that. I caught a lot of that yesterday, as you saw. Yeah, way more than I was expecting. I was expecting a rejection up here because this is where we've continuously rejected, but that's a biggie. So hopefully this push up today is the start of the next leg down, but we'll see. We do seem to be going into ranges a lot with all this stuff at the moment. So same on the S&P and same obviously on the Dow. Nice bearish engulfing at resistance. This is not where price wants to go above, and again we stopped. So all looking pretty good for downside momentum to carry on with all these. So we'll see what happens at the open. So the market's just opened now. Morning back. Diamond. Getting closer to getting out, but still seems so far to break even. Also on pound odd. Still in the pound odd, blimey. It's getting there. Just had negative news on the pound and we're at resistance. So, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but potentially that is where we're going to bounce from. But we'll see. There is that level there as well. I want to try and get out, if you're in this, want to try and get out by the 72. You need to be getting your average down in that area, really. Ideally. US dollar flying against most currencies. Yeah, US dollar CAD's up, US dollar Swiss is up. Yeah, US dollar's having a good morning so far. So, let's see where we're going this morning. Very weak open compared to previous days. As I sort of said yesterday, I'm expecting a weak open this morning because we've got news at 8:15 and 8:30. So I think the market's probably going to just chill for an hour, for half an hour this morning, and wait until we get the news on the German PMIs. Pound US dollar just hit ADR. So not a lot of activity going on at the moment. Bit of DAX buying coming in. Diamond, you were saying in the Telegram group, I wonder if we can approximate or estimate the information we see on Boocamp from within MT4. So obviously only really on Nasdaq and S&P you can do this with, or the Dow. You can use the Dow obviously in here as well, depending on what feeds you've got. But yeah, it's just the same as MT4. The price levels are going to be slightly different, but the price action will be the same. So, you know, we've got the Nasdaq shooting up, we've got the S&P shooting up. Yeah, Nasdaq shooting up, S&P is shooting up. Yeah, so it's the same thing you're seeing here. Hello. Okay, it just froze on me. So yeah, you're seeing the same thing. So, you know, up here, you're looking potentially at a reversal on the S&P. We're running into a little bit of resistance up there as well on the Nasdaq. So it's the same thing. It's just the price levels are going to be different, because this is obviously the futures market, and the CFD market is going to be slightly different price wise. So if you look at price action, you can say, right, we're just hitting now on the Nasdaq. So if you want to take that trade on the Nasdaq, basically you just hit the short button now. And that's basically your entry based on hitting that level there. Why is that so far over there? Can I not change that? You can't drag it, can you? Anyway, I'll tell you what, let's do that. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. We came off of that level there on the NAS in Boocamp. We're coming off that level in there. You can't see where the limit order should be. No, if you're going to use limit orders, which is really what you should be doing with this is, you know, the idea of this is we set a limit up there. Oh God, get it right. Oh, oh God, I just bought it. Sorry, flatten that. God, that was a quick $85 down the pan, wasn't it? Jesus. Yeah, you limit order up there, so that we get gathered up with that price action. But obviously you can't do that on MT4 because it's not going to be at 137.61. It's 137.62. It's not far off. So, you know, it's not that far off. But yeah, it's not going to be that easy. I think the thing you can use this for mainly is big levels, yeah. So somewhere around 13,775, somewhere around there. Let's move that out of the way a minute. I would say it's the higher that wick is the level, that 13,775 roughly. But yeah, it's not that simple. Unfortunately, CFDs are slightly out in price. So with 13,747 there, 13,744. So it's not that far, is it? Just going to cover that. So fairly decent opening range on the DAX. How much is it to use Boocamp? It's $100 a month plus data. wherever you get your data from. Just stopped out break even on that one. I was only kind of demonstrating the level anyway on that, so it wasn't really a trade. It was a trade, but it wasn't a trade. Franco, your messages have been held for review again. Do you know what it is that's stopping your messages? It's that face you used with the glasses on and the moustache. That's what it doesn't, because remember it stopped one of your messages yesterday and you had that face on the end of the message. It doesn't like that face. YouTube has an issue with that man with glasses and moustache. Well, if I had Boocamp, the data feed, I wouldn't be looking to see it in MT4. It's more about working in MT4 without Boocamp at all. Yeah, I mean, but this is for futures. Boocamp. It's a futures platform, and it's designed really for scalping. So it's very difficult to translate away. I mean, there will be a way. Let me just close that limit order. Just realised I left that in the market. That was dangerous. Yeah, I mean, there will be a way basically to use this data, but probably with the bigger levels. Yeah, so you want to be thinking, right, when we get up to this level, I'm going to start a short position somewhere around there. So you could get in. I mean, that's a big space basically. And if you look at that level, that 13, what is that level? This is the Nasdaq. So 13,812 to 825. So 13,812 is there to 25. You could say basically when we get close to there, I'm just going to hit the sell button with a stop the other side of there, because you know the likelihood is it's going to hit that. But you've obviously got this gap here as well, this propulsion gap, which they came and retested. So you could say I'm going to go short here. I'm going to have a stop above the propulsion gap. You don't have to react that fast then, do you? But if you look at it on M5, it's this accumulation. That's where those limit orders are sitting, in this accumulation. Yeah, accumulation break, accumulation break. It's a propulsion gap. Which of those it is? It's in the middle. So all it is it's much more accurate propulsion gap information is all you're seeing there. So it's the same stuff. It's just you can relate it. So normally we'd be looking at this and going, right, we're going to look for a pullback on this somewhere up to the 38 level. We know actually there's a hell of a lot of limit orders sitting there, so it's not likely to even get anywhere near that, is it? It's probably going to bounce off of there. It's just another piece of the puzzle. We haven't got out the opening range high yet. I don't think we're going to this morning until the news. So we've got 3 minutes. End of this candle, basically. We've got the French PMIs, services PMIs. And 8:30 is the one that they're going to be waiting for, which is the German. So, bit sluggish at the open. Everything's sluggish at the open today. Nothing's really going anywhere. You never traded futures. I was looking at the website this morning, and it's like another world of trading. Yeah, it's totally different. It's FX, or rather CFDs, futures and options are all very different. But once you use them for a while, if you want to learn futures, the best thing to do is go to Top Step. Because Top Step will give you a demo of the futures trading platform. So you can go to Top Step Futures, start your trading combine, and do their free trial, basically. So you get a combine. I think you get 100k combine on demo. So you can demo trade futures, and you can choose either Ninja Trader, or you can choose in fact I think they might have dropped Tradeovate, so I'm not quite sure what platforms they have now. Yeah, so it's either Ninja Trader or TS Trader, which is Tradeovate. So you've seen me trading on Ninja Trader, and you can use TradingView as well. But I found the interface with that was very dodgy, so be a bit careful of that. TS Trader is the one to use, I think. And just do a demo and just learn what they are. But it's basically the same stuff. It's the S&P, it's the mini S&P, which is smaller contract size, Nasdaq, mini Nasdaq, Russell, and micro Russell, and then you've got crude, oil, and gold. The main things that people trade, but you can trade anything. You can trade hogs, you do all sorts of stuff. But I mean, you need to trade where the liquidity is. The liquidity is there, and there. That's where everybody trades, because that's where the money is. That's what moves. To make money, you need stuff that moves. Okay, so we just had the French PMI, which came out positive. Obviously, they don't seem to have done a lot with that. Nice drop on Euro Swiss. That was prior news, though. They've just double bottomed, basically. Okay, we've got some rejection at the highs. Some bearish price action starting on the DAX. Tempted to take that pound US dollar off. That was a lovely entry, that. I feel like switching to futures would be like strategy hopping. Yeah, it is definitely different. It's something you need to run alongside, I think. If you want to do it. I mean, I traded futures, as I said. I used to trade stocks and futures years and years and years ago, and I kind of started getting back into it in the last year or so. Getting a bit of rejection up there. Might have a go at a short. It's just nothing in the market at the minute. It's all going to kick off. So the open today really is going to be 8:30. You know, this is just an opening cash run. Just dumping what orders need to be dumped, and they're waiting to actually move it until we get some some confirmation on what the PMI figures are. So we're not going to get any movement really for the next 10 minutes on anything. So we'll start going through the FX pairs and have a look at those. Happy with CFDs, just struggling to adjust to the current market conditions since the war. Yeah, I mean, everybody is. Everybody's struggling. I'm in quite a few. Pound Swiss just hit ADR. Let me just move those off the screen for a minute. Don't need them. ADR, pound. So the pound is really not happy this morning. And this is after those retail sales figures. Yeah, I mean, I'm in quite a lot of Telegram. Well, I mean, more Discord groups than Telegram groups. There's a lot of faces have gone quiet that I used to see very prominent, and there's a lot of people have suddenly switched instruments, a little bit like I have switched more over to indices, because the volatility is in the indices, and you have more of a gauge as to where indexes are going to go on a daily basis, because it's driven by stocks. You've got a clue. Whereas with Forex at the minute, it just seems too volatile and too unpredictable. So everything that was working before isn't working now, because we've taken Russia out of the equation, out of the financial loop, and it's a big part of the financial system. The financial hub of the world is London. London's financial hub was Russia. Russia's been removed from that, so the whole thing's been upset. The economics have all been upset. It's just happened to land at the time when we're having interest rates going through the roof after coming out of a major pandemic we haven't seen for centuries. The whole market is in utter chaos at the moment, and the driving forces we see driving it are not driving it anymore. So people are switching instruments because what they've been doing isn't working anymore, and that's what you've got to do. Look for different ways to get in. Just missed that long wick entry. I should have taken that. But yeah, I mean, and all futures is what we're seeing here. Everything we're seeing here in MT4, it's exactly the same thing. This is just a contract for difference based off of the futures market. So it's the same stuff. It's just that with futures, you are fixed with contracts. I have to enter with one contract as a minimum. That one contract has a financial value attached to it. So when you hit the sell button on the NASDAQ, every time that thing moves, there's a $5 risk. Every tick. And you see how quickly it moves. That trade I took yesterday, I made $800 in probably about 15 seconds. To do that on here, I'd have to be entering with something like 50 lots, which you don't do, but you are forced to do that in futures, and that's why futures is really mainly used by more experienced traders, because you got to really know what you're doing in there, because you don't have a choice. It's a real dangerous place to trade, but very rewarding, obviously, at the same time. But you can only scalp it, because you can't hold futures overnight, because the cost of holding a futures contract overnight is too high for most people. You've got to have a big balance there to actually hold decent futures contracts. So everyone's got to scalp. Therefore, scalping is obviously playing with the chop. Playing with the chop is dangerous. It's just the way it is, which is why people don't tend to do futures, and they start with Forex, because Forex is really slow and simple to trade. Usually. Not anymore. Why didn't I take that short? I'm waiting for the news, that's why. I mean, this is probably going to come off the lows here and pop back up there in the next 5 minutes. We'll see. What's the others doing? Yeah, all coming down across the board. See, all been scared off by this block. Didn't get to it though, did it? Sitting there with a limit order, you'd be very cross now. Just about to hit some support on the Nasdaq. Wait and see what happens when we get down to these lows. So we've got 6 minutes left until news. I won't start going through the FX pairs. We'll do them all at the same time. Excuse me. So Euro Swiss that I'm in at the minute. So looking for these highs to be respected basically, which they are at the moment. We haven't got up to there, so we're making a new lower high. So potentially this is where we're going to drop from, hopefully. All the other euros sort of stalling out at the moment, as we'd expect, because we're getting up to excuse me, a point where we should be starting to turn. Euro yen starting to come down as well, which is good. And a strong US dollar. So do I want to take that off? Certainly going to cover it now, might as well. It's not going to cost me anything. Just getting down to 125 ADR this early in the day. Got a feeling this thing's going to bounce at some point. I know the figures were bad, but blimey. I think the thing with the retail sales which really shocked the market this morning is we were previously coming off of a negative. We were expecting a slight increase. We were still expecting them to be negative, but we were expecting them to be better than last time. What's actually happened is they were way, way, way worse. So, normally we see the market react when we get big changes in numbers, but with retail sales, it's not usually that dramatic. But interesting. Right. Got 4 minutes to the news. So with the DAX, obviously this can go any way today. We're just coming down into this support, which we've just tapped into at the moment. So we're just getting a little bounce off of that level there at the minute. Difficult to tell which way we're going to go. Obviously after yesterday's bearish, massive bearish rejection, I'd be looking more for shorts than longs. So the thing they may do today is try to retrace this candle. So obviously when we get a big down day, what you tend to get is a retracement into the day, usually 50%. Yeah, something like that. Which we haven't got yet. We've only just done a tiny retracement. We have retraced into the body, but we haven't retraced anywhere up into the full candle. So that may well be it today. And if that is fantastic, we should hopefully get a down day. But there is opportunity for them to push it back up as well. Pound yen 150. Jeez, it's really still going for it, isn't it? That's a big down day. That is really getting to the limits. I'll give that a little bit more. I might take that off. I can't see that going any further today. But it's the pound. We've had 300 ADRs on the pound before. You never know. So yeah, looking for shorts. So I'm going to stick a sell stop underneath the lows. Low of the day. See if we can get a break on the low of the day. We've just retraced up fairly nicely. Going to leave a little bit of a gap there, but we've just retraced up fairly nicely into this candle. So it's all open for a short. But obviously at the moment we're in an inside bar, so there's no real directional bias because the opening range, basically we haven't escaped the opening range at all yet, so it could go either way. But we'll see. 150 on pound US. Blimey, really going for it. Just hope we don't get too much whipsaw, that it gets me in, gets me out, and then dumps. If it does, I'll have to take another short. But pound Swiss 125. Pound's really getting hammered. Bad figures. Makes you wonder what's going to happen to the Canadian retail sales later as well. We've got the CAD retail sales coming out as well. Oh, by the way, I might not be around this afternoon. I probably won't be around this afternoon. I've got stuff going on. It's the last day of the holidays, school holidays today, and I've got bits and pieces I need to get done. So I may not be around. Just to let you know, I'm going to put it in the Telegram group. I'm going to see if I can jiggle some stuff, but I might not be around this afternoon. Friday afternoons are not great anyway, so. But I'll let you know. 1 minute. Well, 4 seconds. It's mixed. So it's more positive, but overall mixed. God, Forex Factory is just so slow. Manufacturing was slightly down. Services was slightly up. Overall, ever so slightly up. So yeah, nothing to write home about. As you can see, the market's just not. Making up my losses already today. Now looking for gravy. Cool. You have a life. Yes, I do have a life. Occasionally I step away from the screens. It's quite rare, but I do sometimes. Which is partly why I've got to do something this afternoon. My family thinks there's this man that lives in a box in our house that never comes out. And that's pretty much me. Okay, so we're just pulling off the lows at the moment. No real reaction to that news. So next news we've got is 9:30, which is the pound. Right, let's go and have a look at the FX pairs while we're waiting. So this weekend I'm going to get my good man, the ghost in the machine. Yes, I'm going to get my VPS set up with an account to basically trade a kind of hybrid position trading strategy at support resistance. So as I said, I'm going to look to get into FX pairs again, but with less reliance on RSI and more reliance on support resistance levels. And just basically see if we can get some decent, not so much scalps, but just reactions at support resistance to try and get some either quick scalps, or if they move fast, turn them into swings. That sort of trading done, basically. I don't want to position trade still at the moment because I don't still have a clear understanding of the market at the moment and long-term movement, which is obviously what position trading is. It's based off of looking at long-term movement and riding the waves, but the waves at the moment are just way too choppy and unpredictable. So I'm just looking to just change the way that I position trade, basically based on how I've always traded, which is using support and resistance as a primary factor. So but also not just going in with a stop, getting stopped out and then losing the trade, getting in without a stop, allowing the trade room to breathe and looking for a potential second entry that we can either escape the trade at break even if we fancy it, or ride both positions, secure one, let one ride and take one off as a profit. Basically same as usual, managing the trade based on whatever the market throws at it, basically. So I'm going to get the account set up on the VPS over the weekend. So I've got the EA ready to go, and obviously you'll be trading reversal alerts as usual, using M5 for entries, but based off of 4 hour, either M15 or M5, depending on obviously how they look. But I think predominantly M5 because I want to get in fairly quick. So if I'm using H4, I'll probably use M5 for the entries, because M15 sometimes can be quite a long way behind. As you can see here, the entry level on M15 is up there, and on M5 your entry level was down there. So sometimes M15 can make a big difference. If you've had a big strong push on M15, you might find your support rectangles up there, whereas on M5 you'll have had a few pullbacks along the way and you'll have it down here. So it can make a big difference, the time frame. But as I'm only looking to get into a couple of positions and they're going to be spaced wherever the next support or resistance level is apart, M5 seems the obvious one because we're going to get in faster, basically. And as I say, I'm only going to take a couple of positions, and if it then decides it's going to tank, I will make a decision based on the drawdown and what is going on as to whether I get out of it or hold it, basically. Don't feel bad, guys. I've been slapped in the head and yelled at. Turn the laptop off and watch the movie. Yes. Do you know what? It's the opposite in our house. I'm the one that says that. Do you want to watch this film or not? Looking at her phone. I do the same though. I'm very guilty of that as well. We all are. We need a technology amnesty, don't we, when we're watching movies these days? Right, so Aussie dollar CAD. RSI extensions. There's a few hourlies and there's a few 4 hourlies. Most of these are euro and yen based still. In fact, the yens have actually, a lot of these have flicked off. But I'm not going to run through these in detail today. I'm just going to go through and look at the pairs individually. We're not going anywhere on the DAX at the minute. We are not going anywhere today at all. So I'll let that run. So Aussie dollar CAD, obviously you can see the levels here. Previous levels. Let me just get these off actually. We'll draw new ones on. There's a lot of levels on here. So Aussie dollar CAD levels, obviously that is the next low that we should be looking for. We've just broken down below this level here. Overall, we're kind of in an uptrend. We've had a strong Canadian dollar off the back of the news, which has obviously made this push this week. So if that's going to continue, this is where we are looking for the next level of support, somewhere around here. We've stopped at this level many times, so this is kind of where we would expect to get some kind of reaction, which is about 200 ADR. So that's where I'd be looking for potential bounces there. We've just broken down, but we are heading into a load of chop, so nothing, not really particularly interested in this at the minute, this one. Aussie dollar Swiss, last level, anywhere, I mean, it's very difficult to pick a level here. There's a few areas which are of interest. That's probably the best level there. We came down and we tapped into this level multiple times there, and obviously there. We've got this zone here as well as a backup. So when we get back down to here into the 24, that's where I'll be looking for an entry somewhere around there. And then obviously when we get down towards the lower support, the 72 will be catching up. So if we're going to continue in this uptrend on the Aussie dollar, that's where I'll be looking for. We've also got this level here to be aware of, which is a double bottom. We are obviously in a trading range at the moment. Trading ranges will come to an end at some point and become new trends. And by the time you've identified a trading range by having 3 or 4 points, that's often when the new one starts. So quite often you're going to find when you're trying to trade a range, by the time you've identified the range, it's time to get out of the range because you're going into a trend. So these levels that we're coming down to potentially might be areas that we're going to bounce from. There's a load of buying coming in on the S&P and the Nasdaq. DAX doesn't seem to be particularly affected by it though. We're not going anywhere still. So yeah, this level here is obviously a very nice double bottom support. So somewhere around there, if we get down to there, that's where I'll be interested. This level here is much less important, I think. In fact, I'm going to take that one off because this is really the bottom of the range, isn't it? So where we are at the moment, you could, if you want to, play shorts. When we pull back, look for a short entry and assume that we're going to come back down to this level. I'd much rather wait for us to get down to this level and try long though. Aussie dollar yen, yens I'm staying clear of at the minute. We have had reversal alert on this now. This is due to Aussie dollar weakness rather than yen strength, which is the thing that doesn't really entice me to take this short. If you look at the Aussie dollars, they're all having a weak time at the moment. So this isn't yen strength. What I'm waiting for is yen strength to show its face and then get that move down. So I'd much rather wait than take this one. But it does look like it's starting to move. It's had a nice reversal. And I want to retest and then a drop. So if we can get some strength coming back in the Australian dollar and then time it perfectly for the yen strength to start showing through, that's when I'd like to start potentially taking a short on this one probably. But at the moment, we're just kind of range bound, so look for it to get back down towards these lows, potentially for a bounce long. So that could happen at some point today or on Monday. Aussie New Zealand's just a sideways horrible mess this week. No idea, not interested. Aussie US, lots of levels on this. I'm just going to take some of these off. So we've always got the main low there. Oops. We've got that level there, which is decent support resistance area. So somewhere around there. 150 ADR today, potentially for a bounce. So that's an area to look for today. Aussie dollar, US dollar. CAD Swiss, miles off flying. Canadian dollar. Swiss franc's really, really weak at the moment. You can obviously see where we're potentially heading for. So it's a short right now. if you want to keep shorting it. You're getting in a bit late, but your stop's got to be up there. If you're going to get in short down there, you haven't really got a lot of risk reward, have you? So it's not really worth taking short. But if this gives a reverse alert and pulls back into there, and then we see signs of it starting to move, so you could look for M15 reversal alerts on lower time frames. So as we pull back up into this area here, look for reversal alert short. This one I think is going to come back down to here, but it's waiting for the Canadian dollar to basically strengthen up a little bit more and then weaken. The problem at the moment is there's nothing happening with the Swiss franc. The Swiss franc's not strengthening and not weakening in any shape or form. So you've got only one currency in play here, which is the Canadian dollar. So we're reliant fully on the Canadian dollar moving in one direction or the other. 150 ADR pound US dollar has just started to reverse. I'm going to just flick over. So we've got to CAD Swiss. I'm just going to flick over to the pound US dollar and protect that trade and lock it in. It's just such an easy money this morning, this one. So I'm just going to lock that in down there. It's 220 quid. If this is going to continue and do a nice 300%er or whatever, that's fine. I'll take it off at 200%, but I'm just locking it in down there. I'm going to stick a trailer on it as well. 250. So if this now breaks out below new lows, I'm just going to trail it down until it gets to target. It's too easy to just let that go. If it's going to pull back all the way up to there, fine, I'll short it again. But I'm not going to leave that on the table. CAD yen. So CAD yen as well. Again, we're off out the highs. Looking for that sort of movement back down to here. It's very difficult to pick a level on this. There's lots of different levels here which we could find support at, and we have in the past. But not touching the yens until we get some strength on the yens. Otherwise, these are all longs. So basically, I would touch the yens, but I'm going to touch them when we get back down to support. Looking for long opportunities because everything on the yen is just destroyed at the minute. It's just trying to find a way into them. Swiss yen, same thing. We're just about to get a reversal alert on the Swiss yen. It's a bit late, the reversal alert, though, because we just had that massive flurry of movement to the upside. You kind of missed a lot of the movement in the whole. It's taken a week to get back down to reverse that one big strong day that we had to the upside. So yeah, tricky one, this one. Support wise, obviously we got this area here where we came up and we kept tapping into that before we finally broke through it. We didn't come back down to retest it. We did retest those highs. So somewhere around there, about 125 to 150 ADR is where I would expect to get some kind of reaction. We look like, with a lot of these yens, we may well be going into a range. So difficult to tell what is going on with these yens, which is why I'm kind of steering clear. Got an IRB, which is exactly where my entry is. So still not really going anywhere on this one. I got a feeling we're not going anywhere today. It's suddenly going to fly at some point. But we've got no movement at the minute on the DAX, so probably going to stop out on that. Euro odd. So still looking for shorts on the euro, although we've got this sort of temporary strength, which is not really strong. Obviously, we're in a downtrend, so I'm looking for shorts. Difficult to pick a spot. The turning points on this, you don't want it to get to these highs, really. If it does get here, that's where I'd definitely be wanting to short it. We're in the 24.72 zone at an area of decent support resistance. Somewhere up here, I suspect there'll be a load of orders ready to go short. So it's whether or not it gets there. And the thing with the euro, and we've had this problem with the euro for the last year, is trying to get into it. It just doesn't give you decent pullbacks. It's not often you get up to the RSI extensions to get these entries. We are there now at the moment on the Euro odd, so this looks like a lovely short opportunity. It's just trying to figure out where this thing is going to turn, which is the difficulty, and it looks like at the moment it's where we are now, isn't it? We just had the reverse alert and retest up at ADR, so this looks like a good short opportunity. So I'm going to take that Euro odd short. Next level is going to be up at this here, up here. So second entry up there. So if this one doesn't hold and we don't get that push back down, I'd be looking for second entry at resistance. If the resistance just gets slammed through, I'll be out at some point up there. So that's really all you can do with that one. It's nicely extended on the RSI, so definitely a good opportunity for a short. I'm obviously already short on the Euro Swiss at the moment. The Euro Swiss is going to be a much slow burner though, because it's the Swiss franc and the Euro obviously move in tandem. So this, I'm looking for more aggressive movement off of the Australian dollar to push this one down. But yeah, very nicely extended. You could take this one, or you could take the Euro New Zealand. They're both extended. They're both pretty much the same. Euro New Zealand has just broken out to new highs. So that one you would be looking up there for your next entry. But we're in a beautiful spot. You've just had a reverse alert on the lower time frame on M5, M15. You just had one as well, and a retest. So looking good. All these are looking good at the moment. These euros for shorts. Euro CAD, same sort of thing. We're not quite extended on the Euro CAD. But there's a lot nicer support resistance on this to look at. So you've got very nice support resistance area, which we're just tapping into now, which is with the 24. So that's a good entry there. If not, that's your next good entry there. Just stopped out on the DAX. Probably heard that in the background. Just had a bit of a flurry coming through. This is potentially flag here. But we are kind of flattening out, really. Typical. I'm just going to move my entry under that IRB, which is also coincides with the opening range low. So we've basically come down and retested that area and dropped off of it. If we break that area for a second time, I think that's probably when we will start to trend, if we're going to trend down today. So I'll have another crack at that short. So yeah, EuroCAD, very nice looking short opportunity as well. Euro Swiss, obviously I'm already in. That's just about coming back down to break even now. Not far off. And then obviously I've got this area of accumulation, which is where you're going to find a load of buy orders sitting to slam through. If we can slam through that, we're off. So they're all the same, all these euros. We're in a pullback situation on the euro at the minute, basically because they keep announcing that they're going to put their rates up, which is obviously bad. But for some reason the market wants to push it before it dumps it, I think. This is just a push before a dump. So euro pound, very difficult to trade this one. When you've got a weak currency against a weak currency, you get a range. A weak currency against a weak currency gives you a range. So we've got weak euro, we've got a weak pound. So obviously what we're seeing is basically range bound activity. The odds spike out the top, but we're potentially on the next leg up at the moment. I can't bring myself still to long the euro, so I'd be looking more for shorts, in which case I'll be waiting for it to get up to there, which means we're going to need a very weak pound to push this up there. Or we're going to need some strength in the euro, and I've read the euro wrong, and the euro is actually going to fly. Who knows? But at the moment, it's in the middle. so not interested in taking any trades on that. Could go either way. If you want to take a trade on it, obviously flip a coin, go long or short. Targeting the top of the range, stop is below the low. You're going to get a 1-to-1 out of it. You've got a 50-50 chance of being right, haven't you? Euro yen. Just about to get a reverse alert on that one. So the euro yen is my favourite yen. But again, I want that. I want this reversal alert. I want to see it come down. If it comes off of this here, I want to see it hit that and then break back down below that. Then I'll be interested in some euros and some yens. I don't trust this at the moment. Last time I thought we were breaking on the yen, it just shot up for a new leg. We're in a big uptrend at the moment. We need the Bank of Japan to step in before we get interested in it. Euro New Zealand are covered. That's the same as Euro odd. Euro US has just come off the support rectangle very nicely off of the 24 basically. Didn't quite get to support resistance area there. It did tap into, if you look at where we tapped into, basically it's this area here. Yeah, we rejected that level again. Some buying coming through at the moment. We're pushing back up towards the session highs on the indices. So yeah, that was a lovely bounce off of the 24. Obviously in hindsight you can see that turn. I had it up here, so I was looking for a bit more of an extension on that one. But Euro US dollar, obviously the US dollar is very temperamental at the moment as well. So it's kind of big and rangy with these horrible big moves. I say horrible big moves. This is exactly what I've just taken advantage of on the pound US dollar today, which I'm still in, still not gone anywhere. But you know, this is what we're getting, isn't it? We're getting these big days where they move the market really fast, and then you get these horrible days where you can't make any money out of it, and then you're waiting for that next spike. It just takes forever for anything to happen at the moment. So very difficult one to trade. At the moment, for the last couple of weeks, we've been stuck sideways. So obviously euro is a short. You can see it's a short. So we're just waiting for some kind of pullback, I think, to short it again. But there's not really anywhere here, support resistance wise, to look at. This area here, potentially we could come back up into there maybe to short out of, but I think we're probably just going to find it does that. So you've missed it really as a short, unfortunately. But there's plenty of other euros out there you haven't missed. So there's lots of euro opportunities. Some more buying coming in. Very range bound today. Pound odd. So that's just tapped up into this area as well. So this is what I mean by support and resistance is never an exact science. It's somewhere roughly around there is where we would expect the market to come up into and have a reaction from. So when we're approaching these levels, this is when I'm going to be sticking the EA on the chart. So as we're getting towards an area, I want the EA to trigger me when we get a reversal alert short. Obviously, if you were waiting for this to hit that, you missed it. Yeah. So it's very difficult to tell exactly where price is going to turn. So you need to kind of pick an area to designate when you're looking at support and resistance, which is why I use that sort of thing as an area of resistance and support, because we don't know quite where, and it came out very nicely. So when we're approaching these zones, that's when the EA is going to be sitting on there ready to trigger. So that would have been a lovely one to take, obviously, in hindsight, but which is exactly what I drew on the Nasdaq yesterday, if you remember. I'll leave that one on there because it's on the other chart, isn't it? Let me just quickly flick over. Oh, there you go. It's there. It's on the DAX I drew it, wasn't it? Yeah. So that was the support and resistance area from the hourly. Yeah, so somewhere from these lows up to that high is where we were going to find resistance. Didn't get right up to that high, and it smashed through that low, but it's rough. It's a rough area that we're looking for price to make a move at. So so that's basically what we need to be looking at, and obviously that's where you got your reversal alert in there, and that would have been your entry short. So yeah, pounds, looking for short opportunities on all the pound pairs until we get something positive coming through on the pound. But as you see, this is looking very, very, very similar. The pound odd is looking very, very similar at the moment to the euro odd. Yeah, we've gone into very much of a correlation between the euro and the pound at the minute. They're both very, very, very similar in their price action. So you kind of, if you're going to take lots of pound trades and lots of euro trades together, you're probably over leveraging yourself a little bit at the minute, because there's just so much correlation between the two, because they are being whipped around by the other pairs. So what you're seeing on the pound odd here is exactly the same as the euro odd, but not because of the pound or the euro. It's because of the Australian dollar. The Australian dollar is in control. That is in charge. That is the strongest currency. So that is making these movements the same across these other two currencies, the pound and the euro, which basically are just not moving at the moment. They're being the whipping boys of the market. They're neutral. Therefore, if the Aussie goes up, that goes down. If the Aussie goes down, that goes up. Yeah. So these are not in control, these pairs, until that changes, obviously, which at some point there'll be a monetary policy shift, and that will have a distinct impact on those currencies. But at the moment, whatever's happening with the others, the crosses basically, is what you're going to see. So all those ones I've just looked at on the euro, it's pretty much the same story for these as well. We had a strong Canadian dollar, pushed it down. We had a bit of weakness, and now it's plummeting again. Levels again, somewhere up there would be looking for. See, that's a to the pip there on that wick. That wick there. Tapped into spot on, and then we came off of it. Reversal alert and drop. So yeah, pound CAD, same thing, shorts. Pound Swiss. Same as the Euro Swiss. Obviously, this is again, the Swiss franc has nothing. So you got a currency which has got no power against a currency which has got no power. Yeah, all you're getting is one of them has a little bit of strength, and then it wanes. The other one has a little bit of strength, and then it wanes. You know, it's just sideways choppy mess. Same as the Euro Swiss at the minute. That's come down obviously very nicely this morning from support. Previous support, now resistance. Pound yen, again, not looking really to do anything with the yens. Interested to see what happens when we get here, because this is an area of decent resistance, turn support. Would be more inclined to look at that sort of price action. But that requires the pound to strengthen up more than the yen. It's very difficult to trade these at the moment. As I say, I'm concentrating on that. When that starts to power up, that's when I'm going to get interested in that one. Pound New Zealand, we broke above the highs. We did double top off of them. We then slammed through them, and now we are reversing. So market structure on this is actually flipped bullish. So if we get a reversal alert on this one on the 4 hour, that would be a good indication of a new structure starting. So we've had the bull structure, yeah, and we get reversal alert, then a breakdown below those lows, retest, and then drop from there. But that's going to require the New Zealand dollar obviously to power up again, along with the Australian dollar. So other than that, there's quite a long way to go before we get to any decent resistance on it. And the problem with the pound New Zealand is there is so much of it. There are so many peaks and troughs on this thing going up. It's very, very, very difficult to pick a turning point. So it's a hard pair to trade at the moment, because you've got so many so many spots where we've had support resistance. Yeah, so any one of these levels could be where we decide to put the next leg in. So this thing could just continue to trend as much as it wants. Don't forget, this is the war. If we are going to return to origin on all of this stuff, this thing could keep trending and trending and trending. As we've seen, RSI is not really getting in the way at the moment. We're getting RSI accumulation, RSI accumulation, RSI accumulation, whereas normally we'd have profit take moves. We're not getting them. So the question is, are we just grinding back to origin and thinking, actually, no, this hasn't really had an impact? Who knows? This is why it's so difficult at the moment with FX, because you just don't know what the driving forces behind the pairs actually are at the minute. Pound US dollar short. Obviously, I've got that one on. Trailing now. So we just made new lows. So I'm trailing down along with that towards target, which is 200 ADR, which is just above this support. You've got to wait on this one for some kind of pullback and then look for a short. So somewhere around these lows, when we pull back there, there's another short opportunity. So that's what I mean about this one. This is why I'm taking this off. This is big, strong move. Yeah, like that. Would expect it to get fully retraced at some point. So when we retrace that move, I'll get in again. So I'll take the profit off now, get in again, and take the profit off the second time as well. So double bubble on it, basically. New Zealand dollar CAD, we had the breakout of the symmetrical triangle, which worked beautifully. And then we retested the upper trend line, lovely, and dropped. Took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to get a reversal alert on that because of that huge strength we had when the war kicked off. Everybody stuck all their money in the New Zealand dollar, and they didn't stop for 2 days. It just went like 600 ADR, didn't it? It just went mental. So there was no way of identifying market structure simply in that. Basically, we're just coming down towards potential lows, but I can see this thing continuing at the minute in its downward spiral. Probably back down to where we started to initially move from. So anywhere down here, really, be looking for a potential bounce, but that's going to rely on the Canadian dollar becoming weak, and it's very strong at the minute. So it's very, as I say, again, very, very difficult. We're extended on the RSI, so I'd be much more inclined to look for levels, but there's so many levels down here. This is just an accumulation. You can take any one of these levels, you can draw a level virtually anywhere down here, and you're going to find a potential support resistance level. So it's just not very easy to trade, so I'll probably steer clear at the minute. New Zealand dollar Swiss, we've got an obvious downtrend channel starting, which potentially could just be that flag. So again, you can see we're in a chop. We've had a reversal alert followed by a reverse alert, which means we're just going sideways at the minute, just range bound. The moving averages are flattened out. No real directional bias on it, so I would be looking for these lows for a bounce. Potentially these lows as well could well hold up. Just draw that line on so we can see it. Yeah, so where we got these lows here, that is also a fairly strong support level potentially. So somewhere around there as an entry. Failing that, have a go at the lows. Failing that, get out. That's the plan. Yeah. So at the moment it's just sitting where it is. If it flies from here, it flies from here. It's not going to go with me. But yeah, that's the plan on New Zealand Swiss. New Zealand yen not touching again. 4 weeks of range. No idea. New Zealand US dollar coming down very nicely off the back of this US dollar strength that we found today. So I was expecting US dollar weakness today, this week. As I said on Monday, I was expecting a drop down on the US dollar Swiss. They took out basically the level. So this is where I was saying I'm looking for a pullback down to here. They flew, then we pulled back, double bottomed, and now we've flown again. So they didn't actually get the pullback. We didn't bother with a pullback. We just went, and I was expecting the pullback because of the strength of the move the week before. So this US dollar Swiss is obviously off now. The Swiss franc's got nothing. It can't stand in the way of anything at the minute. So US dollar, basically looking for continuation strength on this. So easily we could get down to any of these levels down here. They're only sort of an ADR away from where we are at the moment. So somewhere around in this zone here is where I would be looking for long opportunities. So take one, take a second one, get out if it doesn't work out. By the time we get down there, we're going to be so extended. But I want it to get down there. If it just mucks about now and does that and then gets down there slowly, I might think twice about it. But at the minute, I'm not really interested. It's in the middle of no man's land. We are, though, however, saying that, approaching this zone here, which has been very, very, very good. We accumulated around there. Price discovery said we want to go short. Then we came back and said, nope, we definitely want to go short. We came back, we tried again. Then we finally broke through it and used it as support. So right now, this potentially is a long. So you could try one there. We're extended on the RSI. And then try a second there. If you're feeling brave, you could go for 3. If it can get down there without stopping, you're going to want to take a long anyway, aren't you? So the trouble is US dollar's powered up so much this week. I just feel I don't want to stand in the way of it at the moment. I'd much rather it get down to one of these levels, I think, get more extended. But it is extended on the RSI. Yeah. So if you look at the RSI dash, it's obviously nicely extended. So it is worth having a look at for a long opportunity. And you've got, what, 50? About 3/4 of an ADR down to a potential second entry on it. And then take one back off of that. So not bad opportunity if you want to try that one. I'm going to leave that one personally this week. And see if we can get down to there maybe on Monday, and I'd much rather take it there. But if we can get a push down during this afternoon, that'd be great. Bear in mind, next week is the last week of the month as well, so we're going to get all the end of month book balancing. So all of the sales reporting for the month will be done next week, so everyone will be pushing price to hit targets. There'll be a lot of liquidity going into the market next week, so we could well have reaches for levels, in which case that's where you kind of want to be getting in. US dollar CAD, very difficult. You see we've got a lovely V-shaped recovery here. We had that massive Canadian dollar strength. Now we've got the US dollar strength pulling it back. Choppy. And this does this all the time. US dollar CAD, apart from obviously the the drop. So yeah, it's a tricky one to trade US dollar CAD at the moment, because obviously you've got oil and the CAD really strengthening up and weakening, and the US dollar obviously is always going to be the stronger currency, so it's tricky to trade. We got a nice bounce down here off of this level, which I had drawn in previously. Didn't get in it, and it worked beautifully, but that would have been your backup level somewhere around there for a long. But where we are now, we're just coming into an accumulation, so this thing could easily break out the highs and then aim back up there. Don't really know, so not really looking at any opportunities on that. US dollar Swiss, very nicely extended on the RSI. But again, levels wise, I was looking for it to try and come back down here as the obvious support from Monday, and we didn't. We just flew off. So this is now your support resistance. upwards, take your pick. We're basically in clear sky. There's loads and loads and loads of levels. This is a pretty strong area here, where we are right now, but there's loads of places up here that we could potentially bump into. We're nicely extended on the daily RSI. We could get another leg up, but I would expect it to rest, and this is why I was expecting this rest to come this week. When we started the week, we'd been embedded on the RSI, so I was like, right, this thing looks like we need to pull back, and it was an obvious area to pull back into. It didn't. It just got embedded, and you can see obviously we've gone up to the upside. So I think this is definitely wanting to pull back, but now I don't think it's going to pull back further than there. So the difficulty we have is trying to pick a level to the upside, and as I say, it's very hard to pick a level to the upside. The most recent is somewhere around here. You can't really pick a level. So it's down to that low. So that is where I would say is where we're going to find some resistance, which is around about 100 to 200 ADR away from where we are now. 100 ADR today to 200 ADR today. So somewhere around there, if we can get a push up into there today, that'd be really good to look at for Monday, or just now, basically. So yeah, today potentially, if we can get up there. But we've got no news catalyst this afternoon. We got the PMIs this afternoon. Unlikely the PMIs are going to drive it all the way up there, but you never know, could do. So but yeah, if we can get a continuation move up into there, that's where I'm going to start looking for potential short opportunities. And US dollar yen, same story with the US dollar yen. Not interested in the yen. It's a mess. So there you go. That is all of your FX pairs covered. I will get proper levels drawn in on all of these, and get myself organised for next week to start getting into some positions. So DAX, nowhere. We just basically pulled back up into the 50 and starting to come down. Might take a quick short off that. I still think we're short today after yesterday. That was a beautiful bounce yesterday. But at the moment we are a doji. So high, low, lower high, looking for a break to the downside. So just stuck an entry there, stop above those highs. Second entry on a break of the lows, with the stop sort of mid-range. But at the moment we're very choppy, obviously, and we are just an inside bar. We haven't broken out of the lows, we haven't broken out the highs, so we are just basically range bound at the minute. So it's not really tradable unless we get that break, but you've got to obviously get in so that when the break happens you can make money on it. So I'm speculating short today, just based on price action obviously from yesterday. But we're stuck. You can see where we're stuck. We're stuck in this accumulation. So on Boocamp, you'd see loads and loads and loads of orders sitting above and below, and we're just basically bouncing off the limits. Might have heard that term before, but that's basically what it means, bouncing off the limit orders. Sideways mess on everything at the minute. Right, so that's it for today. I I probably won't be around this afternoon. I will let you know what I'm doing, and it probably unfortunately won't be until a bit later on that I actually know what I'm doing. So I'll put a note to the Telegram group as to whether or not I'm going to be on this afternoon. But I'm got other things that I really should be doing this afternoon. So got some bear movement coming in. You can probably hear going on in the background. So I've just entered one short. Stop above the highs there. So looking for movement down. So yeah, if I'm not on this afternoon, obviously, you know, I've just gone through obviously all the FX pairs. So just keep an eye on any FX pairs that you want to get into some positions on. I'm probably not going to enter anything this afternoon myself. I'm just going to get myself set up over the weekend to start trading again properly on Monday. We're just in accumulation on the pound US dollar as well. Down there, looking more bearish than bullish still though. It's got to pull that back though, isn't it, at some point? Euro Swiss is going very nicely, almost back down to break even on that one. So probably going to make more out of the FX pairs than I will out of the DAX today. It's not going anywhere. So yeah, I'll be back on Monday if I don't see you this afternoon. Fridays is always a little bit quiet anyway. So and hopefully we'll get some decent FX positions in next week, but I'm still going to be concentrating on the indices. But I might start concentrating more on the afternoon session than the morning session. So what I might start doing is using the morning session for FX analysis and using the afternoon session to scalp the indices. I've actually done better. Again, I think I said last week, or maybe at the beginning of this week, with my scalping that I've been doing. I've been analysing the trades. The vast majority of my losers have been in the first sort of 15 minutes to half an hour of the session, where I'm getting chopped. But my best winners have also been in the first 15 to 30 minutes when I've got those runners. So basically the opening range breakouts. But the majority of the loss, unfortunately, has been on the DAX. Because the DAX, although it obviously moves very nicely at the open at Frankfurt, it doesn't move with anywhere near the volatility of the S&P and the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq and the S&P I'm actually making more money out of. So it makes sense for me to concentrate on those indices because they're more profitable. Obviously, now that I'm looking into this as an alternative for trading as well, obviously the DAX, I haven't got the data for the DAX, so it makes sense to sort of concentrate on this a little bit more. But yeah, I will see what I'm going to do. I'll have a think over the weekend, but I want to get into FX more again because I've basically not been able to trade it for the last month, and it's bizarre. So I want to make sure that I'm getting back into it. If you stop trading for a while, it does impact you because you're when you're doing it every day, you get that muscle memory built up, and when you stop doing it for a period of time and you focus on it less, the muscle memory does disappear. And it's like driving a car. If you haven't driven a car for 6 weeks, when you get back into the car, it feels a bit weird. So I want to make sure I'm keeping my hand in. I want to get back into position trading, but I just can't position trade this market at the moment because it's just too odd. But I can definitely hybrid trade it. So this is how I used to trade: support, price action at support and resistance, market structure breaks at support and resistance. So I don't want to fully position trade because I think if we get into a squeeze, we're going to get really hurt, as we've seen. So it makes sense to still not use a stop loss because I don't want to just get stopped out because the market decided to take an M pattern a little bit higher than we're anticipating. And equally, I want a second bite of the cherry if the first level of resistance I identified isn't the right one. So I think that's a good opportunity, just maybe a couple of entries. So splitting the entries down into smaller position sizing and just trying to work that way to get back into it gradually. And as we see more normality added, then we'll start to ease back into the position trading again properly. But yeah, so that's the plan for next week. So I'll see what happens with that, but I think that's probably the way I want to go. I'm just about to get stopped out on this DAX again. This is a choppy, horrible nightmare today, by the looks of things. Not quite. So I'm 0.5% down today on that loser I had. Potentially, let me just, what's the spread? The spread's quite tight. Just going to give it a tiny bit more room, just in case we take this out by a couple of pips. Obviously, that's exactly what they would have done with me. We may well just challenge these highs again and then come back down. So I'm just moving that up ever so slightly. I'll take the extra risk on it. There we go. Out again. Right, cancelling that off. So 1% down this morning on that. But obviously I'm up 2 point something% on the pound US dollar at the moment. So I don't care. Oh, and it's still going, look. We've got a good chance of getting that 200 ADR, I think. What is that? A daily level I've picked, isn't it? Yeah. So it's this this daily support around 200 ADR. It's this here, this accumulation. Good chance of hitting that today, I think. Pound is not a happy bunny. Long may it continue to drop. Well, just down to 200 ADR, because I know there's some people that are long on the pound odd. So if it can get down to there and then bounce and do the whole thing in reverse, that'd be fantastic for everybody. But right now, if it can just drop down to there, it'd be lovely. Okay, so that's all I've got for you today, for this morning. I'll let you know in the Telegram group what I'm going to do this afternoon. I'll have a chat. But if I'm not around, have a good weekend. And I will see you on Monday. If I am around, I will see you at 2:20 as usual. And hopefully have a good morning. I'm not going to trade this anymore today. DAX has annoyed me already. It's taken 1%. I'm not going to scale in anymore on that because this thing just looks like a range-bound mess. But if you did want to, short it up there. Get out down there somewhere. Probably what we're going to see, but who knows. All right, guys. I shall catch you later. Hopefully have a good session this morning if you're going to carry on trading. And I will see you soon. Speak to you later.